All right, mathematicians, here we're asked to write the equation in vertex form. Well, if you imagine the vertex form, it requires us to know the vertex. So the first thing we could do is identify the vertex. And you can see that's -3, 2, -3, 2. So our vertex, -3, 2. And this tells us our h and our k. So h equals -3, k equals 2. So that's going to be helpful later on. But the real challenge in these kind of problems is finding a. So as we practice in class, we need to identify another point that we can use to figure out our up and over, or in some cases, it's over and down. So I can see that there's a point right here. So let's try a different color. If I go from this point, I go over. Whoa, that's a little bit too thick. Here we go. Over 2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down 6. Now, what we practiced before is when we know A, we say, well, there's over 1, over 2, over 3, over 4, and then we calculate this middle, okay? So we know that normally the parent parabola would be over 1, over up 1, over 2, up 4, over 3, up 9, and over 4, up 16. So all we're doing is we're just squaring, right? Squared. Okay. So in this case, we have an over 2. So we're going to use this row right here. But what the graph tells us here is that instead of going over 4, we went down 6. Okay. So that means the rest of these here, not particularly helpful. Right? What we need to say is this number is what we typically have, and this is what we ended up with. And we got there by multiplying by A. Okay? So, just to review what I just wrote. Okay? These numbers are here. These numbers come from the graph. Okay? And this is squared. 2 squared. That's how we get the 4. And then we say these numbers here are what generate an equation for us. 4 times a number times A equals -6. So, solve for A. What we're doing here, right, is we're dividing by the coefficient, the number that multiplies A, and that's how we solve for A. And A equals -6 over 4. Now you can leave it like that because that's true, but best practice would be to say either calculate it as a decimal or as a reduced fraction. -3/2, also -1.5 is okay because it's an exact decimal. It's not a repeating decimal. Okay, so here's our A value. Now we have H and K and A. So we need to put it in vertex form, which is y equals A times x minus h squared plus k. So in this case, it's y equals A is negative 3/2. 3/2 times x. Now we have minus h. So minus negative 3 would be plus 3. Okay? H equals negative 3. Therefore, negative 3 is going to create a 0 inside a parentheses. So that's why we put a plus 3. Because we're trying to say h is the x value that will make a 0 here. And then our k value plus 2. Okay, there's your annotated example for how to write an equation from a graph. Now, on your notes, you need to have a example with these same annotations, the same thing I have in green here, but it needs to be on your notes using a problem from your Check Your Understanding worksheet.